Yo, I didn't plan this video. I'ma just freestyle it. I had something on my mind. Excuse my voice. I'm a little stuffy. But I just want to talk about the dangers of living by ego instead of living by spirit or your true self. Like, I want you to think of your ego as a coat or a blanket, like a outer layer to something, right? Like, if it's cold outside, it's snowing, you're gonna put on a coat to protect you from the cold and all of that. Now, what happens when you lose the coat? Now you're exposed. Now you're exposed to, dangerous temperatures. You may get sick. You're gonna be very uncomfortable. This is the same thing that happens when your ego is crushed or your ego has been destroyed. Like, what do I mean when I say your ego has been destroyed? Well, there's a few examples. Let's take dating and relationships, for example. When a relationship ends or it comes to a point where a decision is made to end the relationship, someone's ego may be destroyed because your ego is telling you, your ego protects you. Your ego is what you want the world to see. It's the outer layer that covers your true self. So when the relationship ends, your ego feels like, what? I'm not good enough. Your ego feels let down. It makes you question yourself. It makes you question your worth. It'll make you question, your value. It'll make you insecure. But if you would have experienced that relationship and lived by the spirit and just your natural self, you would have understood that all things must end. And this relationship is another one of those things. And you would have been able to walk away gracefully. That's not to say that you wouldn't have some sadness or, some regret or anything like that. It just means that you're able to process it a lot better. When a person's ego is destroyed, that's when we see outbursts. That's when we see chaos, because a person cannot fathom that they're not exceptional, that they're not great, that they're not good enough. This is why the ego is dangerous, because your ego can be false. You know what I'm saying? You could walk around like you the greatest thing known to man, but the moment that something goes against that, now the ego is destroyed and now you're exposed and now you're vulnerable and now you are having a hard time processing that. The ego is dangerous because if you help somebody and you help them by way of the ego, you didn't really help them. You wasn't doing it because you genuinely care about that other person's well-being. You helped them. You might have gave them money or gave them a place to stay, gave them food to eat, gave them some clothes to wear to boost your ego. You may have done that to make you feel better about you and to keep them underneath you. And that's dangerous. That's wrong. But if you do things by the spirit and you do it by your true self, the authenticity of your true self, you did that because you really care about this person. You want to see this person excel and you want to see this person do well. You gotta lose the ego. As simple as this. If you live for the applause and you live for the accolades and the compliments, you will also die by them. You will also be crushed by them. Or, the lack of them. When you're not getting the applause, when you're not getting the compliments, you're going to feel crushed because now the ego is not being fed. The ego is not being served. So, in my opinion, the best solution for this is one, to live by the Spirit, live by your true self, and never get too high on the compliments and never be too low on the compliments. You always want to stay in the middle, because that allows you to process everything from a clear perspective. It's not tainted with the ego. You know what I'm saying? Now you're able to, you know, cultivate healthier relationships. You're able to have a better relationship with yourself. You don't need external validation. See, when you live by the ego, you need people. The ego is like a phone battery. It's got to be charged. It don't just stay at 100%. Your ego don't just stay at 100. It has to be refilled. And it's refilled by way of compliments, gifts, accolades, attention, things like that. But the moment those things go away, the ego is now depleted and you feel crushed. Some people will go into a depression. And a lot of it is really ego based. I really want to rant a lot longer about this. I'm a little pressed for time though. But I'm gonna leave y'all with that, man. Lose the ego. It's a dangerous game to play when you live by ego. All is well.